Acting Speaker, while you can debate and tap now, just look him speech blow. Treasurer na you can be him debate.
Bird debates on 2024 final budget outcome. Stay tuned.
Government too all need law. Understand him. This la problem affect him. You me all get that. So, like for example, and this problem, it started in 2023, or maybe even further back in 2022. In 2023, most provinces and agencies were not paid what was budgeted in the 2023 budget. And for most of the provinces, we received the monies for 2023, the balance of the payments, in January 2024. So the monies that we received in January of last year were in fact funding for the previous year. Okay, for this year, Mr. Acting Speaker, for this year, in the case of ECP and many provinces, the last time we received any of the budgeted funds was in May last year. And Treasurer is aware, and the Finance Minister is aware, not just my province, but many other provinces. We are still...
Governor Bird claims there's a significant gap between the budgeted funds and the actual funds received by provinces, particularly East Sepik. Funds budgeted for 2023 were received in January 2024. East Sepik and other provinces haven't received budgeted funds since May of the previous year. Governor Bird accuses the Treasurer and Prime Minister of misleading the public by overstating the amount of money being allocated to provinces. A large portion of the budget is allocated to salaries, which is paid centrally, not transferred to the provinces for local spending.
So, if that's the case for ECP, and I know all the governors are complaining on governors' WhatsApp about the fact that they haven't received their funds, and as the Prime Minister rightly put it, Samplal province is got internal revenue. In the case of ECP, we are operating only on internal revenue. And it's also misleading, Mr. Acting Speaker, when the government says, plenty money mipla giving me godown lo yupla. For example, in the case of ECP budget, 120 million and payable teacher. The money never actually gets to us. It's paid here. And that's the same for all the provinces. The largest chunk of our budget is payroll. Actual cash also transfer in Kamlo province. The actual cash that's transferred to provinces is really, you count DSIP, PSIP is probably about 70 million in the case of ECP. If you count what we call functional grants and minimum priority grants, the same grants that the good minister for provincial and local level government was talking about in his report last week, these little grants, they amount to about 60 or 70 million. So the actual cash transfer going on big province like mine from the national government is really around 130 million. All get a number, you may look in the budget book, you have number nothing. Money true no sago. And that's the same for everybody here. All the leaders sitting in this house. So it is misleading. The Prime Minister and the Treasurer is misleading the country when they say Mipla Salim Trabla Moni Gudam na Yubla making one longem. The actual cash component that comes in the case of ECP, me count him all district blomi, 6 all district all MP sister, me count him PSIP, na me count him actual cash component, the functional grant, the minimum priority grants is around 130 million. Now there's a lot of money here, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Time you like Salim on the public 70 go to walk, I need to put in fuel car. Me plus I use him all minimum priority grants, na me plus I use him all functional grants. Lo buy him fuel, or lo fix him car, or lo pay him allowance, lo workman, or lo fix him all house, lo district. The DSIP only builds new projects. There are very rare occasions when they go and maintain existing infrastructure. Na plan di all open members in lo here, boli clear lo desla. So plan di heavy lo maintaining all infrastructure, all play infrastructure, all district. I'm sapuna ni Kambek lo province. Now, when you don't transfer those funds, then we have a problem. The same goes for the PHS. Mr. Deputy Speaker, plenty of lousy called run out of medicine. Now, in the case of ECP, myself and my 6 open members, we had a meeting in November last year. Namipla allocating 3 million kina out of the PSIP to buy medicine for the ECP Provincial Health Authority. Nami sabi ako sa Emplani province only working one time.
Districts also.
So, I have an issue, Mr. Deputy Speaker, when, with respect to the Treasurer and the Prime Minister, when you bring a...
Governor, sorry for interrupting you. Just address the chair's Assistant Speaker.
Oh, Assistant Speaker, sorry, you plus any senator, me too, me confused. Assistant Speaker, thank you for the correction. So, when they say to the people of Papua New Guinea in this honorable house, that Mipla Woglo give him money, or Mipla brook him budget, na Mipla talk budget, Mipla brook him osem. Na behind, lokam no time lo budget session ya, you plan need Mipla all kata lokam na passing budget. And I think everybody does so dutifully.
Yes.
But then, actual work mark lo behind him want him something where this la house and me pass him, he no come up. So what are we to do about that, Assistant Speaker? And then, not only that, with great respect to my good friend and the Treasurer, by law, under the Public Finance Management Act, this document is supposed to be presented to the leaders in this House and the people of Papua New Guinea in March.
My goodness.
By law. There's another document that's going to come out. It's called the MAIFO, which is the Media Economic Fiscal Outcome. Now that is due in July, which is the next sitting. So, there's a reason why the law was designed in such a way that this report comes out in March, because it talks about the spending the previous year. And it's supposed to inform our good leaders in this House and the public about the expenditure of the government. Now, because me are some senior leaders belong, you mean lo country, only got agent need lo kalab lo balus na go to New Zealand tomorrow. Only like adjourning parliament tete. Because there's a trip go to New Zealand, I mean important more law. Struggle blow people blow Papua New Guinea, na this is the final budget outcome.
No, that's
I don't understand that. Parliament was suspended last week as well and adjourned. We're skipping Friday. Friday is day blow member.
Grievance debate.
Grievance debate. So something new. There's a new fashion being developed by this government, which is frightening, and I think we should be worried about it. And as was so rightly suggested, why can't the Deputy Prime Minister take control of the House on the government side so we can continue? Prime Minister, important can run.
The actual cash component transferred to provinces like East Sepik is much smaller than the overall budget suggests, around 130 million, even when including various grants. The lack of funds is hindering essential services like fuel for vehicles and maintenance of infrastructure at the district level. The Speaker alleges that the government is not adhering to the Public Finance Management Act, as the required financial reports are not being presented to Parliament in a timely manner. March. Governor Bird expresses concern about the suspension of Parliament and the handling of grievance debates.
I applaud you. Okay, let's get back to this. Now, the Treasurer reports that there was a 630 million decline in GST. This is important. In the same report where our Treasurer says that there's been economic growth, there is a significant decline in GST collections. Now, the Treasurer knows very well that part of your GDP measure is in public consumption, and public consumption is one of the 4 things that go into your GDP measure. The best measure of your consumption of goods and services is GST. Now, if we've had a 20% decline, according to your report, Mr. Treasurer, Acting Speaker, Treasurer says here that there's a 20% decline in consumption. That tells me that there is a slowdown in the economy. In any other country on this planet, when there is a decline in consumption, it points to a slowdown, and in some cases, in fact, a stagnation of the economy. It is measured by your GST. And the treasurer says here, it's declined by over 600 million last year. And then he goes on to give a whole range of excuses like lack of collections. I know that IRC has been doing a brilliant job. He also tries to blame it on the Black Wednesday issue, and I think that's a little bit cheap to go that low to blame a decline in the economy in an event that occurred in one part of the country, whilst acknowledging that the NCD may be a significant part of the economy. This GST collection is not just for NCD, it's countrywide. So I would respectfully ask the government, and whilst I acknowledge that the treasurer is a very hard-working man,
very hard-working,
when you are balancing figures and trying to manufacture a good response to the people of Papua New Guinea, that can be quite difficult. So, and hence it's taken him 3 months longer to produce this report, because they had to try to find excuses to justify why the outcome on the budget is so terrible. And here's the thing. I want to say to the government, if you are going to, as you work on the next budget, can you be honest in the next budget? No can you go na gaman puti mo number na sabotas blibla ba kira paitian na uga Papua New Guinea foul stop na. True outcome the budget I mean negative can, because if I look at your analysis of the last 3 budget outcomes, there are issues there, Mr. Treasurer, based on your own numbers. So there is a decline in what you've been predicting for the past 3 years, consistently. So this area where we find ourselves in today is not an accident. We've been arriving. All of the actions that have been going on in government over the past 6 years has now beat us in the proverbials. I'm Mr. Retta, Mr. Acting Speaker. Also, no, like hurry up now. Only no like more leaders from Papua New Guinea by reading good this report, na you miss up na debate good. Because they don't want the leaders to take a look at this document. They don't want the public to have it debated in this house. So reasonably, Mr. Acting Speaker, I'm now missing up the total plenty of leader blah. They can't process this document as fast, and to be reasonable. This la debate you need lo differi mi lo nar la time lo give him chance lo leader lo Papua New Guinea lo talk, Mr. Acting Speaker. It is unfair to expect our leaders to process this 86-page document that's full of numbers.
The Speaker is deeply critical of the government's financial management, accusing them of misleading the public about funding allocations to provinces. The Speaker argues that the discrepancies between budgeted and actual funds are crippling essential services and that the government is not adhering to proper financial reporting procedures. The Speaker is calling for greater transparency and accountability in the government's handling of public finances.
When there is a problem in the country, it affects everyone, not just ICP. So by rights, the government, the executive government, should allow its own backbenchers the opportunity to digest the material, first of all, and then to come back and perhaps even go and seek, advice from experts who can then give them right papers for them. All yet can come na talk here. For their own people and for their own districts and provinces. So that is my appeal in this debate to you, Acting Speaker, that if no one else can debate this, because it is a difficult piece of presentation, and I understand that, then...
Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and support this channel. Bye for now.